Hi, and welcome to the nightly newsfeed wrap-up for June 23rd. Is that right? Yeah, June 23rd, 2012. Busy day as always. The ducks had to go to an old folks home out in the countryside because the wife couldn't stand the scent. That's okay, I'm going to get a prairie dog next. Maybe. That's if, I don't know, I think maybe I should hold off because there's tanks rolling in the streets of St. Louis, Missouri. And martial law seems imminent. And I'll tell any of you expats living in foreign countries, US expats, there was a bond placed on your birth certificate. Obama serves the bankers. If martial law is declared, here's how it'll play out. Obama will declare that all patriotic US citizens should return to the US to help clean up the mess. And if you're like me, if you're really ensconced in a country and you have a family, they'll do it this way, like, we need you to come home for a few months to, do some voluntary service, and then we'll let you come back to your family. Well, if that happens, I won't even be here to say bullshit. I'll be gone. There's no way in hell I'm going back to that country unless I'm a carcass. I'm sitting next to a very special guitar of mine. I wrote a song today in Korean. I'm trying to go that way, sing songs in Korean. This is the guitar. It's a National Resoelectric. It has a Highlander piezo pickup here. This is an aluminum cone with a maple bridge. This is a souped up P90 pickup here, and then the knobs are volume blend knobs with a selector switch. When you plug it in, it's a monster. It's a real beast. Unplugged, it sounds kind of like a banjo. And that tuning is, for you guitar players out there, it's Dadgad. D-A-D-G-A-D. It's a wonderful tuning. I love it. I love this tuning. Yeah, so I'm an open tuning kind of guy. I like my open tunings. Standard tuning is good for some things. It's great. I mean, you play jazz, rock, flamenco, classical, you name it. But open tunings give a color. They open vistas. It's always a trade-off. I like the open tunings, and I like to play slides, so I can't play slide in standard tuning to save my life. So anyways, enough yapping. I'm going to try to focus on what I perceive to be the good news tonight. And to do that, oddly enough, I'm going to go to rents. There's mosquitoes buzzing around, but they won't suck my blood. I'm too toxic. I plucked a few articles from Rents that I find to be Well, you know, pointing in a positive direction. I mean, he's always he's all about the Fukushima fear porn, and for some reason if it's really still him, is has obstructed Jim Stone's information. So I don't know, but it's still a valuable news feed. So one cool thing we've got here is a new Senate candidate from Wyoming, and there's a picture of him here standing there with like a submachine gun. He looks like a Hunter S. Thompson type. Thomas Blemming of Lusk is an ultra-conservative, outspoken former soldier of fortune who hopes to prevent Wyoming Senator John Barrasso from winning election to his first full term in Congress. If elected, this Vietnam veteran and political newbie says he will pull American troops out of Afghanistan, end all foreign aid, secure the border with Mexico, and bring back billions of dollars to Wyoming. He claims the federal government owes the state in mineral royalties. And that last detail right there tells me that he's for real. But there's more. I'm just going to pull a few quotes out of this article. The government is so insidious, Blemming says. We literally have a group of criminals running the country. My campaign for the U.S. Senate is bringing all this out. I personally always, since I started running, feel that the government is going to kill me, he says. I mean, I'm an outspoken critic against the government. Mosquito. American people should not fear their government, he contends. The government should fear the people. I personally believe that the people of Wyoming will elect a common man, notes Blemming. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not vested in anybody. I'm fighting for the people. To prove his point, Blemming says he has refused to accept corporate dollars to finance his campaign. This man he's got a serious background. In February of '79, I tried to kill Noriega, and I had laid a bomb for him, 12 sticks of dynamite, which they found under a 5,000-gallon diesel fuel tank, Blemming explains. I denied it at the time because they would have immediately shot me. So, here's a serious guy coming out and speaking his mind and running for public office and telling the truth. They're all a bunch of fucking criminals. So I'm going to be following Thomas Blemming from now on of Wyoming. That's excellent to see. Now moving on to women march in Rio to protest green economy. Thousands of women representing social and farm movements marched in central Rio Monday to rail against the green economy advocated by the Rio Plus 20 conference on sustainable development. The women of Brazil are rising up and saying no to green capitalism, yes to an economy based on solidarity, yes to people's sovereignty. So I just think that's wonderful. Some smart women down there in Brazil, I think they dress a little skimpy, but, you know, good on them. Rand Paul votes no on GMO labeling. So if you have been following the Rand Paul debacle, where he endorsed Mitt Romney, and then he went onto the CIA established National Review of all places, it's Twilight Zone territory, to distance himself from Romney's war policy on Iran. But, you know, he votes no on GMO labeling. So take that for what it's worth. The Fast and Furious scandal is turning into President Obama's Watergate. Fast and Furious hasn't been discussed a lot in the mainstream media, which is why the facts can seem so preposterous when you read them for the first time. But the story is slowly unraveling and the public is catching up with the madness. On Wednesday, the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee voted to hold Attorney General Eric Motherfucker Holder in contempt over his decision to withhold documents related to the gun-walking operation. Documents that President Obama tried to keep secret by invoking executive privilege. The question of why the Prez intervened in this way will surely hang over the investigation and the White House for many months to come. Be patient, conservatives. It took nearly 8 months for the Watergate break-in to become a national news story, but when it finally did, it toppled the president. I think this looks like good news here. You know? I'm cautiously optimistic. They're holding the Attorney General in contempt. We'll see what happens. That's all I got for rents. I'm going to check on my time here, and I think I'm 11 and a half minutes, so I got just enough time for one item from Ike. Geez, did I just freeze up there? Okay, you guys in America, you guys in the corporate United States of America, Army trains MPs to drive tanks on U.S. streets. St. Louis City residents have been warned to not be alarmed at the sight of U.S. Army tanks rolling down residential neighborhoods after sightings of the vehicles provoked fears of martial law. Go back to your television sets, folks. Go drink your beer. Go watch Dancing with the Stars and American Idol. Just disregard those tanks trundling by in the streets outside your windows. The exercise is part of a U.S. Army program run by military police from Fort Meade, Maryland. Fort Meade, Maryland, and they're in St. Louis, Missouri. I guess it's Missouri. Fort Meade, Maryland, focused around training MPs from St. Louis how to drive heavily armored tanks on highways and on city streets. Yeah, don't mind it, folks. It's just a training exercise. It's just a drill. I'll tell you this. The very instant martial law is declared in the U.S., I'm going to disappear. And I'm fortunate that I live in a country that I know intimately. And I know exactly where to disappear, and how to disappear, and how to stay invisible. And thrive while I do so. In the meantime, I'm trying to become a citizen of this country. Because the only way I'm going back to the United States is in a fucking body bag. Okay, well, I guess that's about it for tonight. I love this guitar. Haven't played in 2 years. Still have to, like... magical. Okay, y'all. Mustard Strong here, over and out. Be well.